was close though. We were incredibly close.
Would you choose Kazuha over Beto? Yes.
Yeah,
They'll mess up their date. They're stinky.
Hi, Nikki.
I honestly,
it's been a good
oh,
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Um, we'll start in a few minutes. So again, we'll be doing a bit of coding today. We'll continue our development of our backend server. I hindi ko pa ma-upload or I haven't uploaded the VOD for the bonus stream the last time. So I'll just be doing a quick run through of what we did the last time before doing the coding. So yeah, I guess we can start. Let me just do this. Now let's do a change of scene. So yeah, um, this is what we have as of the moment. Um, this is the backend server that we are creating. So let's start having a GitLab. If you hear like chatter at the back, because I'm also how do I say this? I'm also lurking at different Twitch channels as of the moment as a support um, to the people that I am following. Let's just play a lo-fi music so that we'll have some mood while we code. Okay, it's stuck. Uh, okay, let's have a different music. There you go. So if you also hear my wife talking, they have a meeting with the homeschooling um, parents as well. So now we are using Gitpod for our development environment, which is connected to my GitLab. So as you can see, it is connected. Now this is like an ask me anything session as well. So if you have questions on how do I do web development or some other things, yeah, you can ask me anything. Okay, so now that is done, what should we do? So we check first what we have done. What we have done the last time is to create a connection to our Firestore initialization module. What it does is it allows me to use our project. It gets the Firestore from the Google Cloud Firestore library. We get a config so that we can determine the project ID which it will be connected, and we just export the Firestore so that it can be used on our service, which what we have added is to be able to create a blog. So this is the Firestore. We also got a config so that we can determine the collection names. The idea for this is depending on the environment where it is deployed, it will get the collection name so that it will have different collections for different environments. So like in this instance, for the development, we have the blog collection to be blog development, while for the staging, we have the blog staging environment and blog staging collection. Hey Leology, good morning. Yeah, so just going back, we are doing a AMA or Ask Me Anything session. If you have questions on how do I do web development or backend server development just a ask away. So going back, I'm renaming like different collections or database tables if it's like cloud SQL, but for now we are using a NoSQL database called Firestore. We name different collections depending on the environment. So for our environment, which is on development, what we do is we name the blog collection to blog. Thanks, EJ, for the lurk. Hope you learned something in this session, and you can always go back to the VOD if you want to review. So anyway, so what we do is to get the blog collection. Once we get the title, summary, text on the from the request body, we create a data object that has the title, summary, and text. Put it inside the blog collection itself via add, and then get the blog ID or the document ID, the unique ID, so that we can return it. So just to see how it works, we start the server. Once we start the server, we just make it public so that we can test it out. Actually, we can actually not do it in public later, but for now, for the purpose of this setup, we just do this. So there's the docs. Our server always has a documentation. Yeah, my daughter is crying because she fell down a while ago before the stream starts. So anyway, so this is the creation of the blog, where we create a post method on the /dev/blog URL, and then we try it out. Again, we create a title, summary, and text. We execute it, and then we create the same title, summary, text with the blog ID. So if we check it on our database, so let me just do a be right back so that I can check if there is like something that is not supposed to be seen. Wait, one. Where's that? Ito nga ba yun? Parang ito nga yun. Yeah. So going back to our so this is our Firebase Firebase project. By going to the Firestore database, we can see the blog development. Again, that's the blog ID that was created. As you can see, DLC whatever WCE, DLC whatever WCE, and then these are the blog summary, blog text, and blog title. So if we create another setup, 1 summary 1, text 1, we execute it, and we can see that it is being returned with a new with a different blog ID. We should have it like a bigger text. Yeah, so there with a different blog ID, and as you can see, it is also being created here. Yeah, so that is what we have created. We also have created a bit of tests already. So if we do an npm test, it will run all of those tests that we have created to check if our code is working correctly. So automatically, we already know that our code is doing correctly. We have a coverage here where all of the codes or all of the code lines has been covered in our tests. So now, what we need to do is to create um, a lot of uh, uh, what's that again? We need to create a read blog. So if we check our list of things to do, uh, we have created post blog. Now we get the get blog. We create a get blog. So first is we define the specifications for it. So if we go to paths blog, we do the index. So this is the post and get. We already have get many blog, but we haven't created the operation ID for it. We have a successful response as well as so we need to have a different successful response for this one because we are doing the basic or the default part. So if we checked sample code lang ba ito or you're using this code in your work company? This is actually a code for my server itself. So I'm creating my own website. So this is the code that I'll be using for the server. So while doing it, I'm showing you how I'm creating it. But the template that I'm using is the template that we are also using in my work. So this is the template that I created for my workplace so that everyone will have the same way of developing our backend. So like going back, get many blog, I'm just using the success true. The success true because that's the successful response. If we check again our components, responses, and the base, that's the successful response, which just returns an application JSON with the schema object, type object with the properties success, and we reference it on success, which is we can find it on where is that again? Schemas, because schemas base success. So we just define success here. So in essence, what we are creating, we are following the Open API. For those who are just new to this channel, we are creating something that is based on the Open API specification. You design first the API or the application, or what's the API again? I forgot. The so Open API. So we review the spec. What's API again? Forgot the application programming interface. So that's a thing. See, I still forget things. So we base it on the Open API specification where you design first before you do the coding mechanism. So we design first our code. So now that we have created different because this is done by the our test cases. So anyway, after that, what we do is to define our successful response. So we create a new file. So what we're going to do is we create a new file using our own create file instead of using the usual, because using creating a file using this one will just create a blank file, but for using our own create file command, we'll be able to create a file using with a huh. ah src specification, um what's that again, components and responses, and then blog, then we put in the name of the file, not successful get many blog response .js. The IDE is actually VS Code, but running on a web browser, so it's using Gitpod. If you have a GitHub educational account, you can create a Gitpod account that is free for with 100 hours free, so you can use it. So successful get many blog response. So we just want to create a file. So as you can see, it creates the file itself with the green and with a how do you say this, a template license. So now that we have done that, we just copy this, because I'm lazy typing, and then we just okay, I will try. Kalimutan ko na rin account ko sa GitHub. Yeah, so we just rename this get many successful get get of many blogs. So now that the application is a type object with a success of success, and then data is of type array. So this is an array, which is the items will be of reference blog. So as you can see, we wait for a while because it takes time to refresh the server. So if we refresh it, we haven't checked, we haven't referenced it. So we reference this, import successful get many blog responses or response, and then just add it up here. Now that is connected. Now we go to the paths, and instead of successful, and we just do this, and we just say get many blog response. We save, and then do a refresh. As you can see, now it has become like an array that has the items inside it. Now, after doing that, we create the get many blog module, because if we do this, try it out, execute, there would be a general error because the operation for many blog is not yet implemented. So we implement the many blogs. So what I usually do is do the same name. Okay, I should use the create file, src service modules blog get many blog.js. what is the file about? Um, get many blog operation ID. So we just copy this one because I am lazy. There. But instead of using this, we create get many blog. So we don't use the request first. So I'm just going to do this so that it will not sort of give me any headaches as of the moment. And then the data is actually an array. We get the blog collection. For now, blog collection um, get await, and then we get a blog snapshot. So this is based on the Firestore documentation where we get the data. Then from blog snap, docs for each, and then we get the function. So it's the blog data. Data. Now we push it on the um, so blog data. So that's the data of the blog itself. Then blog ID. What's our name again? What's supposed to be our so blog ID with a small d is equal to blog data dot ID. So there you go. Now that is done, we just say data. So we just say this is a type this one, and then we just save this, and then we import it from here so that the service will be used many blog, and then get many blog is equals to get many blog. Hi ZR, thanks for the lurk. There you go. Once that is done, we refresh this, try it out, execute, and now we can get the list of data. As you can see, we have data that has been put. So now that it works, we can put a test. We can put a test as of the moment. So by test, we can add on the service first. Create blog test. So we do a test as well for our get many blog service. So npm run create file src no, not src, test service modules blog get many blog test.js. Test case for the survey for the operation id get many blog. So there you go. We just copy this again. Okay. Yeah. So that is done. We just increased them. Um, so the request is not really there for now. We just request as is. We get the get many blog instead of the create blog. We get many blog dot js. Now we don't have a request, so we just put request here because for later, and then rename this things. Oh, yeah. Wait. There you go. We just do this. Get many blog. Do this. Get many blog. There you go. Success must be true. Data must exist. And response that data length, because it should be an array, must be what's the for must again? Must JS. Oh, not this one. The must JS API documentation. So how do we say that? Mm, mm, well, we'll just test that this it should be an array. Must be array. So for now, we just know that it's an array with data in it. So given this, we don't need this, and we don't need this as of the moment. We just know that it should return an array. So npm test. Oops, sorry. Oh, it worked. Even if I mistype test. 7 things has passed, and it already passed because we know that it's returning an array. So now that we have created a simple test and there is a security for it, what we'll need to do is to know how to sort it out in terms of the date. So but before that, we go back to our database, and we know that there is no date in our um, data. So when it comes to having a date, it should have a create date and an update date. So let's just but before we add that, we just need to so I pressed Alt XG to show up our status Magit. And what we need to do is to add our things for commits. So we have to add this one, and then because what did we add again? Components responses index. So we add that. So we commit it first and say that feat add a oh no, not this one. Should be, wait, No. We didn't commit it first. So there's a stage. Unstage is first because we want to have the specifications for the responses first. Now that is done. Actually, we can also add this one. There you go. So we commit this, and we can see the files that we are committing. One is the creation of the successful get many response, as well as the addition of the successful get many blog response in the specifications list. So we add a feature where for blog, create a spec for get many blog response. So that is red because I'm already more than the 50 lines. And then we just close this one out. And that works. Now that it works, we then we create the module and add it on the service. Feat blog, add get many blog, or we can do this, get many blog operation ID, and then Control Shift F4 so that it closes the editor. And there, get error. We should copy this because so there's a get error. We didn't correctly name the items here. Oops, sorry. Feet. So Control Shift F4. That should work. Okay. Then we just stage this, and we can see that the feet blog replace the success spec to get many blog. There you go. And then so in essence, whenever we commit, we have to describe what we are doing so that when we look at the history of the commits, we'll know if another person or another developer check the history of your commits, they know what you have done and they can follow what you are thinking. So lastly, we just we commit, and then we add test for blog, add test for get many blog, and then after that, there you go, everything has been done. We just git push so that we push it to our repository. And if we look at it, we look at the repository itself, we can see that we have added those commits. If we look at the commits though, we can see the history of our commits from the last push. Okay, so that is for getting the blogs. Now what we'll need to do is to have dates. So, but before that, we'll take a few uh a 3 minute break, um and we'll have questions if you want to use the break for questions.
Basically anything but defense, right? Attack, maybe? Do I need attack? Rage whenever you see... Oh, HP too, okay. Look at my build sheet. Wait, is Kaya here? Oh, she is. Okay, cool. Oh, my damage is nothing. Oh, my damage. Zero damage. That's not elemental damage bonuses. Is that on cup? How do I tell if it's a cup?
Hello guys. Okay, I have my daughter with me. Daughter, hello. Hello. So, what we'll be doing right now is to just create um dates on our um setup. So, let's see. We'll delete first our collection. So that there would be new data here. And once that is done, what we'll need to do is to just set the blog to have blog date, blog update date. Yeah, blog update date. So npm run create file. Kiss. Mamaya si nanay. Oh, oh, components, schemas, blog, create date.js. And then the description is blog create date schema. And then we just copy this. We close this one first. We put it here. Yeah, sinanay. And then copy this. We export this as a number. And this is the blog create date. Example is because we are using the UTC. Oops. So wait, we should be using this. So yeah. So I don't. We just want to have a realistic new date get time. So that's the today's UTC, and we just put it here. Then we just create also the blog update date. This is in preparation for. Oh, sorry. There we go. Blog update date specification, and then we just add it up here. Blog update date. There you go. So once that is done, we just import it out, blog update date, and import blog create date, and then we just say blog update date and blog create date. Now that we have done that, we just put it on the blog itself. That what we want to do is to say that this should be blog create date is this one, $ref schemas. Oh yes, create date. Ano yun? Ang gusto mo? Ha? Ref schemas. blog update date. Yeah? Gusto mo pumunta sa mga ate mo? Hmm? You want to go to your sisters? Hmm? Yeah. Bababa. Bababa. Mm-mm. Mm. Mm. Bye-bye. Feels like I have a cat whenever she's around. Anyway, so that settles it. Now we do the create blog where we get from Firestore the field value from Firestore, and from here on out we set that instead of this one, data, and then we just say plug, oh no, not this one, new data, so we just do it here. New data is equals to blog doc dot actually how should I do this? Const blog snap is equals to blog doc dot get, so we just get the data that we have created, and then const new data is equals to blog snap dot data. Now what we want to also do is create date is equals to field value dot server timestamp, so that field value server, so the server, so in Firestore you can set the data. In Firestore you can set the data to have a server timestamp. What it means is, in a attribute, it will set the server's timestamp to be dependent on when it was saved in the database. So once it's saved in the database, that will be the time where we will see. Now for this one, new data dot create date should be new data dot create date, because this is something that is we'll need to get the Firestore docs server timestamp. So this is the server timestamp. Not the Java. We'll get the JavaScript 9 Firestore timestamp. Check the timestamp, and we get the millis ba to? Dapat. So let's say 2 millis, and then new data update date equals new date that update date 2 millis, because the data is different. New data. Now what is this? Okay, let's see if it will work. So we check our post. It should show new dates. There you go. It showed some dates that is in millis, and if we check it out here, new date, it says Saturday, August 28, 2021, 11 and 11 a.m. So that means we have created now the data with the update and create dates and is returning it correctly. As well as when we look at this one, we can see that the create date is in the proper timestamp. It's a timestamp object in Firestore. So that is done. We have created it correctly. Now we just want to test it out that it is showing the proper data. Okay, there's a title, blog IDs. What? Blog ID. Let's see. There is something wrong. Excuse me. There you go. So let's see if it's showing up an error. So now it's not. Now we just want to say that blog data that create date dot to millis, because we want to make sure that it is in millis, is equal to response dot data dot create date, as well as update date is also equal to the update date. Now we can also test the path for blog. And then data create date must exist, and data update date must exist. So we're testing if all of those exist, and if we test, it is testing correctly. Oops, something is not being tested correctly. 66.7 it's line 53 of our create blog. Line 53 because it's not being. What we can do is just do this, because we already know that it will always be it will always exist, at least for our purposes. And that in essence creates our creates the test. Now what we'll need to do is to make sure that it is sorted. So for this one, what we can do is sort it out. Hi Fire Inferno, how is that? Yung wala pa 100 lines yung code mo pero nasa 600 line na yung error. 600 plus line yung error. Blog collection. Okay, so what we can do is when we check the collection reference, nagtutupi-tupi. Okay, I see. So when we get to the collection reference, turn on our fan again. Ano nga ulit to? Yeah, for query. Yeah, we should use query. 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 Yeah, okay. Should use query. So query class. Nope. Ano nga ulit yun? Nawala ako. Firestore. Never mind. Let's use the... nagbago sila ng documentation, di ba? They changed their documentation. I'm looking at the documentation and I forgot what to do. Masasamang memories na alala ko pagdating sa coding. Portfolio lang pala pinagagawa sa amin. Yung nagawa ko literal na working website. Diba? Well, at least kaya mong gumawa ng at least you can do a real website. Pag nasa college ka na ba, pinapapili kayo kung gusto nyo mag-web software AI. Well, at near the end of your or your college, doon ka palang papipiliin. Pero while at the start, at the middle, papa-experience sa inyo yung the whole setup. So we have the Firestore app. We need to get the okay. Initialize app. Now that we have okay. Firestore. Nagbago sila, hindi ko mahanap yung gusto kong mahanap. Sige na nga, fundamentals na lang. Ay, hindi, build. Most likely nasa build yan. Yeah, build Firestore. Well, kung in terms of kayo na bahala kung saan nyo gusto after college. Usually, after college, of course, kayo na bahala kung ano yung work na gusto nyo. Sometimes, yung iba kong friends na coming from Comsci, hindi naging Comsci yung trabaho later on. Nakasulit. Kami hanggang login form pinagagawa. Ang ginawa ko, nag-download ako sa web. Tapos sikreto ko kinapi sa school PC. Actually, madali lang gumawa ng login form. I can show you how to do that in future sessions. So, yeah. We'll just need to read muna yung data. Yon, order and limit data. Okay. So, what we can do for order by right, okay. Oh, well, but this is on okay, so let's see if we can make this out. this query, paano ba to? Things are different actually. So we'll just use Node.js. There you go. We don't need this anymore. We just order by this one. So we just do this. Order by create date. And then for each data, instead of pushing it directly, we just do data is equals to blog data.data. And then data, we copy what we did in this one. Oh, not that data, sorry. New data. Now that is done, we just do this. And then order by, we use this desk so that it's descending. So if we check it out on our get many blog, try it out, execute, we know that 71902 is greater than 70770, and it's greater than 27052, and so on and so forth. Big brain move. Think smart, not hard. Shared kasi kami ng teacher sa PC kasi di gumana yung isang set. Meron pa yung time dahil hindi ako makagawa kasi ginamit niya. Hinakaw ko yung sample code niya tas pinalitan ko na lang ng colors, font style. Ay! Leology. Kung ako yung teacher mo, yari ka sa akin. But, yung teacher mo din ay tamad. So, I will not chastise you too much. But as you can see, it's already sorted. Sorted na agad yung data. So, what we can do now is to just make sure na we save it. Now that is sorted, ano ang kailangan nating gawin? Hindi ko narinig. Okay, so we just again save this on our repository. Before that, we want to add those schemas. Once that is done, we commit feed blog add schema add create date and update date schema for blog, and then we save it. And then we just no, unstage is this first. S commit feed blog add ability add create date and update date automatically. And then we do this, stage that one, feed blog add sort based on create date, then we save it, and then C test add add test on create blog for create date and update date. Then we just do this, and then we git push so that it saves on our repository, and that is done. Now last that we need to do is to make sure that we can limit our search so that it will not show up all of our tests or all of our blog items. So we go back to get many. Now we use this, and then we get query from here, and then from query we get limit is equals to 3, so that the default is 3, and then because this is longer now, we just make sure that it looks okay or nice. So limit is equals to limit, and then from here on out we just get the request for our path, parameters. We say that query, let me just check again how it works. So we review the spec, schema for the open API paths, paths object. So we get responses. So responses, parameters, name. So it should be a like this. Yep. Nope, we're not going to do this. We're going to do name, limit, in, query, and then we just need the description, limit of the returns, of the blog returns. It's not required, and schema is type number, and then example is 3. Now that is done, let's see. Oops, okay, we have to try again. Try again. Now we can see that we have created this. So if we try it out, we say 2, it only shows 2 blog items. If we show 4, we get 4 blog items. If we show 3, or if we don't put a limit, it will show 3 because we have set that our default number is 3. So that's our limit, and we just add our specification. So feet for blog add spec for add limit parameter spec. So that is done. And then for get many feed blog, add limit on collection search. So that is done. F4. Yeah. And then we just git push. Now I think for now, we have created both the, so what we have done, thanks Red for the alert. Magkano naman expenses nyo para mag-host ng server? Magkano ang expenses natin sa pag-host ng server? So what I'm using right now is actually Google Cloud. So let me just wait one. I don't know if it's going to show up something that is not supposed to be seen. Okay. So I'm using Google Cloud. And because this is using Cloud Run and Cloud Firestore. So the database is Firestore, the server is Cloud Run, and the hosting is Firebase. So if we check at Cloud Run, if I'm going to use the pricing platform for this one, so I'm hoping it works, kasi sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why. There you go. That's the pricing calculator. If we're using Cloud Run, and let's say that's the back-end server. Yes, there's certification. I'm also a certified person. Paano ba yun? Mamaya, papakita ko. If we put it on... where should we put it? Walang Asia. Asia Southeast. Yeah, if we put it, if we put our servers on Singapore, and we put the one CPU, 256 megabytes, which we don't really need much because it's a simple server that has blogs. Concurrent requests. Let's say there are 1,000 concurrent requests, and the time per request, and there are 1 million requests per month. Add to estimate. I would be just not paying anything for the server. Now for Firestore, because that's our database, we put it on Southeast Asia, and because there's a 1 million requests, we would have if it's 2 million requests, so let's say 3 million requests per day divided by 30, that is just 100,000 per day. There you go. And I would be just writing not a lot because it's my blog, it's just more of like and then there's 10 gigabytes. I would be just paying $2.23. Now for hosting, Firebase, because I'm using Firebase hosting pricing plans. If I go for hosting, yeah, this is the hosting. Storage is that. Let's calculate the pricing. If I'm hosting 10 gigabytes worth of files, I would still be free. So in essence, I would be just paying shy of 2.23 if there are like 3 million reads per month. But if or if like there are a lot of people reading my blog, but like let's say if there are only 1,000 people who reads my blog per day, and then the storage that I have is just 1 gigabyte, it's free. Like my whole server is free and everything else is free. So I'm that cheap. This is how I create servers. I usually go for the free stuff and then just let it run. Yeah. I think that ends my whole thing. Grabe ka, ala ko libo-libo binabayaran. No. I'm paying a lot for free. Again, if you have questions, because I am a developer, Google expert. Yeah. So I'm part of this program, experts program. If you look at the directory, so magbubuhat muna ako ng bangko. Control, zoom. Si Kurt. Uy, si Kurt! Kotlin, nice! Si Kurt. Okay na pala siya. So, this is my boss, actually, Ralph Vincent Regalado, on Senti. And, yeah, I am an expert on web technologies performance. So if you have questions, you can reach me out on these channels. And yeah, I'm Google developer expert. I usually give talks to conferences or sessions. You're so young there. That is so fun. Ang konti sa Pinas. Yeah. The picture is 10 years ago. I haven't changed it. Yeah, konti pa lang sa Pinas. So if you want to become a Google developer expert, just let me know so that I can like point you to the right people. Yeah. Malapit na matapos. Okay. So there are a lot of other new developer experts in the Philippines. Joshua De Guzman from Pangasinan is a Dart Flutter expert. Yeah, this one is a friend of mine, Kurt, who is also Kotlin for Android. Again, my friend and boss, Ralph, is on an expert as well for machine learning. Albert Padin, who is the first Google developer expert from the Philippines. He's on cloud platform machine learning. And Arnel, who is on also web technologies coming from Cebu, is a developer expert. So I'm the second one, while Ralph is the third Google developer expert. So coming from the Philippines. Aside from that, yeah, so if you have questions about Google, about anything about the Google Cloud Platform and machine learning, just let me know. I might be able to answer it. But right now, usually, it will be coding for backend. I want to create my website, so I'm just slowly creating it on my free time. And yeah. We will see how we can make it more secure later on and make a front end out of it. So I will be doing bonus streams along the way if I have time, and yeah, that's it. Actually, Leology, you don't need to be a com-sci sometimes to learn how to code. Yeah, nagpa-front-end din ako. I'm doing front-end stuff as well. And I also do Python for machine learning, but I'm still new at it. So, there. Anyway, now that we have done this, we're actually just we have done the get blog. We just need to do the get blog ID, post, put, and delete. Well, we are done with the post. The put and delete, we will add it next, and then yeah. So I think tomorrow I'll try to do a bonus stream on coding so that we can fast track this CRUD of blog objects, and then maybe next weekend again. Oh, of course, next weekend we'll do this. Is Laravel still good to learn, Kuya? Yeah, there's a lot of companies who is doing a lot of Laravel, but personally I don't like PHP. So I'm using more of Node.js JavaScript because it's easier for me now to understand and code whatever it is that is needed. But I do have a lot of people that I know that uses Laravel. Usually in the government they use either Yi or Laravel for their projects. So yeah. Oh, okay, Kuya. Which language is best when the system stores a lot of data? When the system stores a lot of data, I think any language will do as long as you know where to store them and how big it is. In terms of like how big is the data that will be stored. We could talk about databases. Actually, I have a class session on like web development because I will be teaching web development on my university this coming semester at the start of September. So or September, actually by mid-September it will start. So we will be talking about which database to use for what kind of data. In Google, we have this kind of thing where because Google has a lot of databases or types of databases. So let's just check Google database. So Google Cloud databases, there would be a lot of databases where you can use Cloud SQL, Cloud Spanner, Cloud Bigtable, Firestore, Firebase Real-Time Database, and Memory Store. So there would be a lot of databases that you'll need to use depending on what data or what kind of query you'll need to do. So like usually when it comes to the usual SQL type of querying, you use Cloud SQL, or well actually MySQL is enough. But if it's like bigger than 3 terabytes of data or 1 terabyte of data that needs to be stored and make sure that it's scalable, there would be instances where you'll need to have a MySQL that is built differently. It's not just one MySQL. You'll need to have like a lot of MySQL setups where it has a read replicas somewhere and so on and so forth. Yeah, those would be more of an architecture type. I think Facebook is using a SQL database. That's why you can write and then the read sometimes is a little bit slower. So yeah. But for like if you're using Google, and there's like you need to have integrity on your data, but it's scalable, like 5 terabytes worth, or for types of financial transactions we usually use Cloud Spanner. This one is very expensive because it's like $1,000 per month at least. If the system is just local, kuya, is it okay to use Windows Server? Yeah, if it's local, it's okay to use Windows Server, but I would prefer Linux than Windows because Linux is better in terms of like security patches, and it's open source, as well as it's mostly being used worldwide as the main server rather than Windows. Usually, if you're going to use Windows Server, it usually the language that they use for backend is .NET. But yeah, for us, if we're going to use a server, there's we use Windows. We use Linux for this one. Yeah, so we still have like 15 minutes or about 10 minutes, I guess. My brother is coming in. My brother is going to join. So and not join, but will be coming here because we will need to meet. So I might cut this short. Ano daw pinakamabilis na language, kuya, sabi ni Leo? Walang mabilis. Actually, it's if I'm going to have a language, I would suggest Go. So we have a web framework, web benchmarks. In terms of loading the database, it doesn't matter what language you use. What matters is how far is the database to your server, and how fast is the server of the database be able to read the data, and if it's using SSD or hard disk, and how fast is the those are the things that are more apparent than the how fast the language is. But in terms of language, just the language alone, so I usually use this one, the web frameworks benchmark. In terms of like requests per second, so it says here Java is the fastest if you're going to use ActiveJ. But what people usually use is either FiberGo, this one. I should make it bigger. Fiber, which is a Go language. A lot of Go languages are also up there. There are also PHP, which is it uses simps instead of Laravel. What it means with requests per second is there is more requests that is being handled in a single server per second. For me, what I'm using right now is Fastify. So I'm using Fastify, which is around 63,000 per second. There would be, of course, a lot of other faster JavaScript. So if we look at all the JavaScript languages, frameworks, you have Nano Express, and then Polkadot, Zero HTTP, and so on and so forth. But I'm using Fastify because it has I also want to have a community that is able to support the language itself. So I had the opportunity to use Restana, but the community is very low. So it wasn't being updated as much as possible. I want to use Nano Express as well, but the problem is um, it doesn't sort of meet my other needs. So I went to Fastify. Um the most popular framework though is Express.js, but as you can see, it just allows 24,000 requests per second. In JavaScript, there's no need for compiling time, but usually, what for languages that needs compiling, so if we look at, usually those are Java needs some form of compiling or interpreting. Well, it compiles to an interpretable language, and then oops, binata. Go is also a compilable language. I think C and CPP is also a compilable language. So you can see C is also on near the top. Yeah, those are the things to look out for, but I'm not really sort of particular with those things when it comes to web development, because it will also boils down to what are your skills at, and how you build the program. Of course, less lines means faster programs, but if you're calling a lot of functions, then we have to take note that it will also add up to the latency of the server. So yeah. So now we have a lot more commits today. As you can see, there's an X because the pipeline failed. I need to fix that by I'm using Sonar Cloud. So Sonar Cloud allows me to scan the code for security problems or code problems. I can only do basic PHP from college, and I try making programs, but I think my knowledge is so outdated. You can review the video and you can learn how to program as well later on. Actually, I have a video about it. Let me check. Switch account to TJ Learns to Code. Tapos so if you look at my videos, so I have like a simple JavaScript basic if you want to like check it out. So the JavaScript basics allows you to understand what JavaScript is, how can you add things, and so on and so forth. And maybe also build like a small website out of it. Yeah. Yes, I have tutorials on YouTube. On TJ Learns to Code. Yes. So I'm doing like a series. Yep, you can check it out. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the subscribe. So there. Again, if you have questions later on, we can you can check me out on Twitter. So I'm on TJ Monsi on Twitter. You can check me out there. You can ask. Puros Genshin, no? Kang labo. Puros Genshin. Labo. Nagpapanggap ba ako? Parang hindi. Papanggap ba akong nagko-code? Yeah. Tas puros Genshin yung lumalabas, no? Priorities. Yeah. Is it beginner friendly? I hope so. Kung hindi, you can give a feedback and I'll make it sure na mas beginner friendly. Yung coding yung bio pero Genshin yung tweets. Yes. Usually ano lang. Minsan lang ako mag-post kasi ng thoughts ko sa Twitter. Like there would be thoughts about tweets and replies. Ayan, usually nagre-reply ako sa mga friends ko na developer experts as well. Or nagre-retweet ako. Or gusto kong kumain. Nag-explain pa ako, no? Hu. Ayan. So, pang ano ko lang talaga siya. There is also like yung Facebook ko. Wait lang. Wala naman ako makikita sa Facebook ko kasi may ginagamit akong something. Tanyo. Wala akong newsfeed. Wait lang. Yeah, walang newsfeed, 'di ba? Wala akong newsfeed. Okay, so tingnan natin ito, yung aking Facebook page. Ay lumabas yung newsfeed bigla. Yung kapatid ko yung lumabas. So, ayan. You can follow itong ang personal blog for thoughts on like coding. So, and then you can see yung mga past engagements ko with other people. So, ayan. Redeeming your Twitter, kuya. Yeah. Saan ako nag-college? Somewhere sa Laguna. Kasi kapag sinasabi ko yung college ko, parang either nilalayuan ako o hindi. Hindi ko alam. Anyway, ganun.
Stalk nyo na lang.
Makikita nyo naman kung saan ako, Doon din ako nagtuturo ngayon sa same college na yun. So, yeah. Pa-secret pa lalabas ko din naman kung anong college, no? Sige, sa UPLB ako. Itago natin sa pangalang UPLB. Doon din ako nagtuturo ngayon. Yeah. Thanks, it's 11:15. 15 So I will be ending this stream already. Thank you for being with me for the past 1:48 hour 1:48 1 hour and 48 minutes.
Thank you.
So let's see again tomorrow. Sana all UP. Well, yun. Ang ginagawa ko is I want to share yung kung ano man yung tinuturo ko sa labas. Kasi, hi daw ate, sabi ni Kinbeck. Si Kinbeck.
Sino yun?
Yung isang
Hi.
yung isang streamer. Lahat nilalabas ko kasi ayoko kasing parang estudyante ko, yes, would primarily benefit it. But I want to make yung things ko, open source. And people learn from it for free. Kasi people should learn for free. Ang pinaka-ayoko yung ayoko na, hindi na ako magsasalita doon sa mga baka controversial pa ako. Ayoko. Yung mga mahal magpabayad na mga tutorials tapos eklat lang yung kanilang tutorials. Ganun. Ayoko nung ganun. Gusto ko
Parala ko yung
high quality tutorials or some quality tutorials na will benefit a lot of people. Sige, apply ka lang, parts. Pag naging estudyante kita, woo! Yari. Sabihin, si sir, oh, nag-Genshin na naman. Sasabi ko nga, inisip ko nga, ay hindi, wala pang klase ng September 1 eh. So, Pero kung may klase ng September 1, sasabihin ko, guys, wala tayong klase. Bakit? 2.1 ng Genshin. Huwag kayong magulo. Merong mga free tutorials din on like yung ano ulit 'yan? Code Camp. Yeah. Mag-Genshin na lang tayo, guys. Ganun. Gaganunin ko yung mga estudyante ko. So, dadagdag lang ako sa free tutorials actually. Kasi ayoko lang talaga na magbabayad sila ng malaki. Tapos, I mean, I could create a course na pwede silang magbayad. But, what's the point? Diba? They can just donate. But, if they want to. If they feel obligated. But, yun. Anyway, so that is all. Dapat may plus points. I cannot do that, parts. I cannot do that. Mayayari ako sa college ko. Hindi ako nagpapagano. Parang akong nagbenta ng itlog sa habang ako yung teacher sa isang public school. Tinatimean na ako ng producer ko dito. Sige. Masyado na daw yung producer ko time out na daw, time out. Sige. Thank you, guys.
May inuutos pa ako sa kanya.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for being with me for the past 2 hours. Kita-kits tayo ng mga 2 to 2:30. Maglalaro ako ng Satisfactory. So, yun. Bye, guys. Bye.